What is going on, y'all? It's your boy Knowledge. I am a seven-figure entrepreneur. I've been in the notary space for almost 10 years, and now I'm teaching other people how to do what I've done to get financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. And now I'm just sharing you different tips, strategies, and things that I did to actually get there in a format that is really like plain, simple, straightforward, to the point. I'm just giving it to you like that. No flashy stuff in the videos. Don't need all of that. You just came here for information. I'm here to just give you information. So this was my 12-month journey to financial freedom as a notary. So for me, my path was very different, very, very weird, and it was probably different from other people's. So when I graduated from college, right, the first thing that came to my mind, honestly, it didn't even come to my mind. I was always interested in entrepreneurship, and then my uncle at the time had told me, hey, you should probably look into just doing entrepreneurship, because he told me at this time, even if it takes all of your 20s and you learn how to do it within that 10-year, that 8-year span, you'll be in a much better position, because now you'll be working for yourself, you'll be making your own money, you understand how to do systems and all this stuff. So I was like, you know what? You're right. I love doing this anyway. Let me figure it out. And one of the first businesses that he told me, like, you know what, you could look into this, was in the notary business. It was the mobile notary business. So when I first started getting into the mobile notary business, and of course I watched my other videos. This is my story of how I went into it, and then I did other things, got broken, and came back to it. That's my whole story. But long story short, when I started off being a notary, I was doing everything myself, driving to each of these locations, knocking out what I needed to do, making a little bit of money here and there. But as time went on, I realized that there's other ways to be more scalable. But just to kind of break down things in like a month-to-month basis, I'll show you what it was kind of like for me. So for month 1 to 2, right? So for me, for month 1 to 2, it was more so confusion and setup. So I was learning the basics. I got my commission. I made my mistakes. I figured out how the game works, and from there, let me just type it here so you guys can see this. From there, this is where I really got my feet wet, right? This is where I really got my confusion. Yeah, this is where I really got my feet wet and kind of just learned what the notary business was altogether, until I realized, like, oh, there's even better ways to make money in it. But this is why I learned how to get my commission. You actually learn what a notary is. You kind of learn what the different type of documents are, and then you kind of get familiar with the industry. And sometimes it takes that, especially when you're like brand new to an industry and you don't know anything about it. Most of the time, your time is gonna be put towards research and getting your feet wet. And it was the same thing for me, like nothing out of the ordinary. Month 3 to 4 from that is when the first real money came in. So at that time, I started learning different tactics to get more money. So I started getting jobs. They weren't consistent yet. And income was still unpredictable and all over the place, but I was getting jobs. I was understanding, like, okay, cool. So this business actually makes money. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I actually got that proof of concept. So for me, proof of concept is always one of those big things, because once you have it, once you make money from something once or twice, you start to realize, like, oh shoot, I can actually make some bread from this. And that was what it was like for me. Once I made that first signing and I saw how easy it was, I was just like, oh, I could just keep doing this and making more money. And then I started getting like fancy with it. I started working out the math. Okay, if my expenses are, for lack of a better number, if my expenses are $3,000 for the month, and I charge a notary and I charge these services $50 to $100, then I only need to do this, and this. So my mind started opening up once I started getting that first real money from me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I can do this, that. I can do the third. And then my eyes just kind of just lit up after that point. So months 5 to 6, when I first came into that, is where I moved over, and that's when momentum started to really build, right? I'll just say momentum kicks in. That's when momentum kicked in. That's when you start getting like, all right, you got your first 1-2 clients, but then you understand how you get those 1-2 clients, and then you do that to get 3-4 clients, and then you understand what you did to get 3-4 clients, and then you use to get that to get 4 or 5 clients. You see what I'm saying? Like you learn how to start building momentum from there. If you're doing the right things, if you're learning and you're learning new skills, that's why I started to be like, okay, there's other things that I can do to make money. So that's kind of what it started to look like. Momentum started kicking in. I started to have repeat clients starting to come back every now and then. And I wasn't starting from zero every week. I knew that, okay, cool. I know I'm gonna at least get a client on these days, because I was doing it to the point where I started to see patterns, right? So I know that, okay, on Monday and Wednesdays it's gonna be slow, but Tuesday, and Thursdays it's gonna be even. And then Saturdays or Fridays, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of business. I started to recognize patterns within the business. And even now, thank God for KPIs and other metrics and other tracking things, you can see the rhythms in your business. You can see when it's gonna be a slow season. You can see when you're gonna get clients around this time, or if you're gonna get clients around this date. You start to see the momentum. And one of the problems is most entrepreneurs move around so often and jump to different businesses so often that they don't get deep enough within their business to actually see the trends or learn the different tactics. See, one of the things that I always preach is going a mile deep and an inch wide rather than going a mile wide and an inch deep. When you keep going a mile wide, you're only hitting the surface level of the things that you can achieve within your industry. In this case, it'd be the mobile notary business. For me, when I was going an inch wide and a mile deep, I started learning tons of different things, which gives you that competitive advantage that you need to stand out and to put yourself amongst the top of notaries and above the notaries that aren't performing as well as you are. Because maybe they got into the industry, but then aside from doing their notary business, they were also doing life insurance, which I hear all the time, or they're also doing taxes, or they're also doing this and that. And if they're doing all those little things, they're never gonna be on your level if you just focus on one thing long enough to where you can outperform them. So that's just a little tip. So moving on to month 7 to 8, my apologies, month 7 to 8. When it comes to month 7 to 8, that's where systems start to change things, right? And nowadays, y'all, I'm a big systems person. You know me, my coaching students know this as well. When it comes to systems, that is your boy. The reason I'm so like that now is because your systems are everything. You don't rise, what did it say? You don't rise to the level of your standards, you fall to the level of your systems, or something like that. It's something along those lines that one of my brothers always says, but you do fall to your systems. So if that's the case, if I focus on my systems and I get these as good as possible, I can progress. And what I started to realize was certain things within my own business. Like I said, by staying in it long enough, you start to see patterns. And then by patterns, not only will you see patterns with the clients, not only will you see good patterns, but you'll start to see bad patterns. And if you're starting to see bad patterns, now you can put together a system to where you can make sure that these bad patterns become less and less. So for example, let's say that people are always emailing you and are mad that you don't email back. If that's a common pattern that you're seeing, you need to create a system to get around that pattern. So for example, when they reach out to you, maybe in an hour, you can have an automation send that says, okay, we received your email, we'll get back to you within 48 hours. Something as simple as that. Something like that. That was just a rough example, but some sort of system to where that can keep working. So that was what changed a lot of things for me, being able to smoothly go through that process and have a system that was actually working for me when it came to that. So what ended up moving from there, from month 9 to 10, stuff started becoming more predictable. And this is something that's always going to be kind of like something that's always going to be a little skeptical of, because even when system and money started becoming more predictable, I was still worried in the back of my mind. Like even nowadays, even with like tons of data points, and I know that money is going to keep coming in, to God be the glory. Hopefully it continues to do that. I'm still like, is this really going to be predictable? But around that time, that's when money started becoming predictable. I kind of knew how much was going to come in each week. You can kind of look at the metrics and you can kind of get the rhythm. You understand the vibe of your business, but income became more predictable. I knew I would make before the week would even start, or I would at least have like some sort of range to be like, okay, I'm going to be around this and this. If it drops, that's just okay, because by the end of the month, I'm still going to make around this. So it starts to become more predictable, but you wouldn't, the thing is, you wouldn't see all of these things if you keep hopping from business to business. It's nearly impossible to see it, because you have to stay within the business long enough to actually see the rhythms of the business or the waves of the business. So that means you need at least a year or you need at least a year to get a full depiction of what's going on in your business, and 2 years to see the patterns that happen over a 2-year span, in my opinion. And then basically from that, I scaled beyond myself and started making real freedom. So scale beyond myself. Scale beyond myself, meaning that I wasn't doing everything myself at this point. At this point, I'm like, all right, I know what the money's going to be. I know, and then once you know how much money you're going to get from month 9 and 10, having that, and it's going to be more predictable. Now you can start bringing people on the team, because now you can pay people because you don't have to worry about money not coming in. Now you know money is coming into the business, so you can charge people, pay people to do different things while you focus on other stuff. And that's where the real freedom really comes in, because now you're able to take advantage of, okay, cool, if they're handling this, I can worry about this, or I have more freedom, or you worry about another business, or you go even deeper within your own business to give you even more of a competitive advantage. But that was kind of like my 12-month journey to financial freedom. Those were kind of like the phases that I went through, amongst other things. But that's why it's super important, super important to not keep hopping around on businesses. And that's why I love the signing agency. I love the signing service business, because it allowed me to get that time freedom, location freedom, that location freedom, and that financial freedom that I was looking for. And it can help you do the same if you have the correct systems. So if you're a notary that's joining the industry and you're brand new to it, or if you're somebody that's been in it but you're not making any progress and you know you're not making any progress, or if you're somebody that's just interested in making more money, more passive income in a boring business that's predictable and makes money, then you need to go ahead and jump into it. You want that predictable, I always say passive income business, because you'd still do a little bit of work. But this is what this is. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, click on the link below and I'll walk you through that. Somebody with me or somebody from the team will help walk you through that process from A to Z, so we can show you exactly what you need to do to get to that next level. Anyways, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. If you found this helpful, make sure to join our free Notary Knowledge Academy. It's the #1 community for all notaries. And if you need one-on-one mentorship on how to grow your business from 3 to 8K plus in your notary business, all the links are down below. Go ahead and click that, and I'll see you guys on the inside.